What's good, everybody? It's Big Game James is back. Yeah, man, back in the building. I know. It's been some month off. You know what I'm saying? The Big Star Show. We had to take a hiatus. You know what I'm saying? We got lives, all that good stuff. But we back in the building, and I got my dog B Tug back in the building. We're gonna talk defense because the Lord knows we need it up front. But I'm doing a lot of
hmm
talking. Let me introduce my beautiful co-host Star and my dog B Tuck. Let them know a little bit about you before we jump on in here. Go first, you Star.
What's up, guys? As Big said, we're glad to be back. We did take a hiatus because we do have lives and stuff to do, and I finally went on vacation and all of that type of stuff. But glad to be back. Glad to have uh Brandon Tucker from Trench Warfare. Is that right?
That's right.
All right, for
Right.
Trench Warfare, who has 15 plus years experience, trains professional players, trains some of our players, former players like Malik Collins, and on top of that, trains, I believe, college and high school
Mm-hmm.
players, if I'm not mistaken. So we're bringing him on today to kind of pick his brain a little bit about our defensive line and our players, and to see basically just his thoughts and things that maybe we're not thinking about
You there?
because we can only
Yeah.
yeah maybe things that we're not thinking about. Before I talk too much, please share the video, please like the video, please subscribe to Big and I's channels, and then Brandon, let you introduce yourself.
Hey,
Click that
Pride.
there. Oh, he's back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
we
what
can
you
hear
got? Yeah, you got some air back there.
you. He's trying to put his phone. Yeah, somebody probably called and messed up
Mm-hmm.
his phone.
You can go
Yeah,
out and come back in, B.
I'm like, let me put mine on DNB too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just
Because
go
my
out and
phone
come
was
back in,
connected.
or however you want to do it. Well, anyway, while Tuck is fixing that air thing on over there, it's good to have Tuck back. You know, he's
Mm-hmm.
trained a lot of Cowboys, as you just said. Demarcus Lawrence, Malik
There we go.
Collins. Um, there we go. There we go.
Every time I
Sam
David Irvin, I
Williams,
think too.
David Irvin, Sam Williams. I mean, he done had them all. Osa Ogadazua.
yeah.
Uh, I mean, and we want to hear about. I don't know if you had trained because we had talked about it before. B, you hadn't had Mazi, but you knew of him and you know the position. So, we just want to get your insights on, what you know, thoughts on him, maybe from afar, and maybe what he needs to work on, going forward,
Mm-hmm.
because they said he has put that weight back on. He said he's about back up to about 310. So, we want to
Yep.
kind of pick your brain with that. But for people don't know, give a little breakdown about what you do, Tuck, from high school on, and your experiences with the Cowboys, because they always kind of go to you when they need some guys to kind of step their game up. They send them over to you to kind of coach their game up because your reputation speaks for itself. But give people a breakdown of what you do, and for people who really don't know about the defensive
Yeah.
line guru, trench warfare for real.
Man, I appreciate that. First of all, man, thanks for having me on. It's always a blessing for me to come onto your platform and vent. It seems like every time I jump on with you, man, my phone starts blowing up. People calling and interrupt the feed, man. So I just put it on do not disturb. But again, thanks for having me. I'm a player development specialist for defensive linemen in Dallas, Texas. Been doing it since 2008. Went full time in 2012. The name of my
Mm-hmm.
training program is Trench Warfare. We train uh, defensive linemen and offensive linemen from as young as they'll pay attention, all the way up to the NFL, CFL, Arena, UFL. Um, we it's a holistic program. Um, we do pre-draft training, so combine training, pro day training, every aspect of defensive line play. Um, we do. Been really blessed to be in this space. Been successful. I think the number's up to 13 first round draft picks in the last 8 years,
Wow.
including number 1 overall pick Trayvon Walker a couple years ago, man. Super.
I thought you trained him. I was like, I think he trained
Yeah.
Trayvon Walker. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's my guy. I got him going into his sophomore year at Georgia. So just really blessed to be in this space, and
Mhm.
it's starting to really become crowded. But yeah, man, just just want to make sure that we continue to develop guys on every level of play.
Yes, yes, for sure. You got any questions for him, Star?
Yes, I do. Um, I'm gonna
She
get.
said that so confidently. Come on.
I'm gonna get.
She said,
I'm
"Yes,
gonna
I
get
do."
right. I'm gonna get right to the question.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to development of defensive tackles,
Okay.
specifically, what I really want to know is there a difference in development between a nose tackle and a three tech? Specifically, what they're being asked to do, basically, because we know it's a thing where it says defensive tackles, they take about 3 years to develop. But when people bring it up, they always talk about, Dexter Lawrence. And I'm thinking about Dexter Lawrence. I'm like, well, Dexter Lawrence and Chris Jones, these are guys who they're getting sacks. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not just clogging up the middle or taking up double teams. They're also pushing the pocket and getting to the quarterback. So I'm saying with that, which is more so like pass rush technique, and then compared to a nose tackle that you want to just stand in the middle and occupy blocks. What's the learning curve of that? Does it take the same amount of time of development?
So that's a really good question. There's a couple of components in there. Um, Most importantly, just to give you a very basic answer, there's a huge difference between zeros and threes and ones and threes. So a nose guard versus a defensive tackle, there's a wide variance of
Mm,
roles and responsibilities in those two positions. Um, as far as the development goes, that really depends on the player, who the player is once the team gets them, and obviously we're talking about the NFL level. Um, it depends a lot on who the player is when he comes to the team. It depends on the scheme that the team is asking the player to play in, and then it's going to strongly determine on how good of a position coach that player has when you talk about time to develop them. Um, when you draft guys in the first 60 picks or top 90 picks, the expectation is for them to come in and contribute in some capacity. Um, I think it's unrealistic for them to have that expectation on them, especially if the scheme that they're going to play in on Sundays was different than what they played in on Saturdays. Um,
Hmm.
mm,
uh,
Hmm.
yeah.
and then along with that, you how smart is the player? How stuck in his ways is the
Hmm.
player?
Mm,
Because if you got drafted in the top, let's go 90, so round 1 through 3, it's pretty good. You done pretty well for yourself, and to get to that point, you had to do pretty well for yourself in high school and youth football. So the things that you have done that have served you well, it's going to be very, very difficult to transition into doing something that you're not comfortable with doing. And so at that point, a player has, you know, 60, 70,000 reps doing one thing, and now you're going to ask him to do something else. So it goes back to scouting, and it goes back to, hey, can we see this guy? Does he show us enough on film to play within our scheme? And sometimes you hit a home run, and then sometimes you don't. Um, and so it's a really, really slippery slope. There's no clean answer. Everyone's
mm,
situation is unique to what they do and what their skill set is. But nose guards, obviously, you want them to be, if they're called on in that scheme to be two gap players. You need them to hold their ground to keep the guards and the center off of the linebacker so they can scrape and field without having to deal with offensive linemen. And your three technique is going to have to do some of the same, but you also want him to be able to hook up a pass rush and get up the field. So those two positions are unique. And there's some basic characteristics that you want to see, but they're definitely different. And everyone's development depends on them. I hope I didn't get too wordy there. Um,
No, I don't think you. I don't think you got too wordy. I do want to do like a follow up question. So, do
sure.
you think that for a nose guard, because that's the big question mark on our team? Everybody's saying defensive tackle, but I'm like, I really think it's a nose tackle that we are. I wouldn't not we're thin at. That's the better word. I wouldn't say we're missing because we do have nose tackles, but that we're thin at or that we don't necessarily trust. With a rookie, do you think that you can have you seen in your expertise that for a rookie nose tackle, if they're outside of the because I know you said the top 90 picks, but if you're outside of that, for instance, we drafted a guy, Justin Rogers, out of Auburn,
Yeah.
and then we picked up an undrafted free agent out of Illinois, with I think his name Denzel Daxon. With these guys, do you well I guess just rookies in general that are these lower round guys, have you seen them really contribute or can be actual contributors at the pro level like their rookie year? Have you seen that, or do you think like those guys usually need more time to develop, so it's like if you need that position for this year, you do probably need to go out there and get someone else?
Um, it's rare. It's rare
Mhm.
that you see a rookie come in that drafted in the fifth, sixth rounds, free agent. It's very rare that you see them come in right away and be able to contribute. It has happened, but it is very, very rare. And really, the only way they would even have an opportunity to show that they can contribute is if some stuff went majorly wrong with injuries. Uh,
Mhm.
because there's no reason to put them in as a rookie, unless you have to. Yeah, unless you
Okay,
have
well that that's a key. Yeah, I'm gonna clip this. He said there's no reason to put them in as a rookie unless you absolutely have to. So if you're saying for teams that are going in and banking in that, okay, I'm gonna use this seventh round pick for to be my nose guard, you saying you may be kind of living in la la land saying that type of stuff
well,
or the
well,
Lulu.
you just and there's been plenty of guys that have gone on to be really, really good players and had long careers in the NFL that were drafted late. But the fact that you had, and forgive me for all that noise. I don't
You
know what's
good?
going
It's
on.
okay.
The fact that you find yourself in a position where you have to play a late round draft pick uh, is is you're in trouble.
Nah, you're in trouble. Okay,
you're
I was like,
you're
you could be honest
you're in
with this.
trouble. In
Okay.
the rookie year, if you have to play a late round guy in his rookie season, you're in trouble. If we could think back a couple years ago, let's call it five, when Neville Gallimore was a rookie,
Hmm.
he played, um, and he played, I think, more than a lot of people expected him to play.
Hmm.
And if you remember kind of the things that were going on that season with Dontari Poe and Gerald McCoy being injured, um, Tristan Hill was playing. I got these bad kids out here doing donuts, man. I, hey, let me
He's like, let me get away
let
from
me get
people.
out of here, man. Yeah, I promise you, I am in the sleepy neighborhood of Plano, Texas, and I cannot believe that this is happening. Let me let me get let me get on away from it. But yeah, you notice Neville played a lot that
hmm
season,
hmm
He
and
did.
it was out of necessity. It wasn't. That's not what the staff wanted. They played him because
Mm.
they had to, and so I think Neville did a decent job his rookie year, but he struggled just because there's a huge difference. There's a huge gap between college football and professional football. And comparatively, if you look at Jeff Simmons, obviously he
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
play his rookie year because of injury. Um,
Mm.
but the following year, I mean, he's been a stalwart for them on the defensive line. But Jeff was taken in the first round. You see the difference between first round and third round when Trevor
In
was
a
taken.
third round.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's on a, it's individuals. You know, just everyone's a little bit different, and the
Right.
scheme plays a lot to it, and whoever the coach is too.
Yeah. What do you think? I'm sorry, Big. I'm taking
No,
about. Did
good.
you
No,
have?
I was just going to ask right quick. When you saying that, just with the young guys and just bouncing off what Star said. See, that's the issue with me because I've heard you time and time again, B, say, hey, when you're a guy coming in from college to the pros, especially playing at the defensive tackle position, nose tackle, these guys, offensive linemen, have been there 5, 6, 7 years. They know techniques. They know what to do. Even
Yes.
if you're a bull strong, they can do techniques to move you out the way. You're a rookie. You don't know what's going on. And that's why they say it takes a longer for those guys to develop because those other guys on the opposite side of the field know what's going on and know how to move you where they need to, positions, things like that.
Yes.
So the frustrating part with from my angle is that you're drafting these guys in the seventh round and what's his name? Star from Auburn,
Uh, oh, Justin Rogers.
Justin Rogers. You're
Oh, this,
drafting him and you're pumping this up like, well, we got this kid and you have and it's like, okay, he's undrafted and he's in the seventh round. I feel like there's a reason, a little bit of reason why he fell, and for you to tell us the fans, yes, let's go ahead and get excited about this. I can't. I won't. And I will not.
you shouldn't.
See? You feel me? And to
You
say
should.
we're putting our mortgage on that, that's disturbing. And you're like, that's to me a setup for failure because
Mhm.
there's a reason that happened. And we've seen it time and time again that maybe if you're undrafted and you play in a game or two, they don't know you. You play really good.
Right.
But the longer you play, those warts show. You
Absolutely.
may play that good first game, play a good half a second game, and then people like, oh yeah, we found a gem, and then that third game you get ran through.
Absolutely.
You
Hey
know what
man,
I'm saying?
that's the nature of the beast, and that happens more often than it doesn't. That happens all the time.
Yeah. So
Well,
So, are you guys concerned about your interior defensive line play this year?
hell yeah.
yes, we are very concerned. Let's talk about Mazy. What are your thoughts? Because Mazy, obviously, we picked him bottom of the first. A lot of expectation was put on Mazy,
Okay.
which now we're learning that probably wasn't the best idea. But regardless, we picked him in the first round. Everybody was excited because we hadn't picked a DT in the first round since the 90s. And Mazy struggled, and it's been mixed messages of why he struggled. Some people say it's struggled mentally. Some people say it's a scheme change, that Dan Quinn, which we do know that they were saying that they were going to change his stance and try to get some pass rush out of him because they saw him that he could offer some pass rush. But when you look at the film, Mozzie had flashes, but it just mostly wasn't too good. People talk about his get off, his motor's not great, and things like that. He also lost a significant amount of weight. We did hear that he's back up to 310 now. I think he dropped to like 290. So he dropped a lot of weight. But he does look bigger just from what we've seen in training camp. He does look like he's gained mass, gained a lot more mass. And so basically, I want to know, like, what do you think? I don't know if you watched us last year, but what do you think was the issue with Mazy? Do you think it was scheme? Do you think it was just maybe a personal thing with Mazy, based off of what you've seen from him in Michigan translating to the pros? And what do you expect, or do you think that he could have a better season this year? Because it looks like we are going to roll him out to be the starter this year. I mean, that's what it's looking like.
So I hadn't heard that, but and complete transparency, I've not worked with Mazy.
Mm-hmm.
What I saw from him last year was very reminiscent of what I saw from Taco Charlton coming out of Michigan, late first rounder, um, in a year where they probably only had 20 guys with first round grades on them. And so everyone else that was drafted probably should have been drafted in the second or third round. Obviously, the expectations are different there. I just think Mazy struggled with the transition from being a collegiate player to an NFL player. Um, I think there was a lot of growing up that he needed to do on and off the field, and I just think it was a very challenging transition for him. And that happens. That happens to a lot of guys. Uh, you know, last year, though, you guys had enough depth. The Cowboys had enough depth on the inside where they didn't really have to rely on him. They would love for him to have played more and contribute more, but um, he just had an okay rookie season. At best, he had an okay rookie season. Um, if he'd gotten himself up to 310 and he's worked hard in the off season, hopefully we'll see something from him. How are they going to play him? Are they going to play him at a nose? Or are they going to play him at a D tackle?
Where do you think his best position is, just from afar? Where do you think he would be best at? Do you think he should be the zero, the one, the guy that's holding up the
No,
guard and the center? What is
he's.
his best position in the NFL?
I think he's a three. I think he's a
Mm,
three because he wants to pass rush. You've got to have great desire to stop the run.
mm.
I think he would prefer to be a three technique. The scheme is obviously different with Zim. They're allowing guys to play back. I mean, you're gonna get a different look from them this year. They're gonna cover the tight end up at a 6. I mean, there's just a lot of different things that they'll do this year that they haven't done in the past, with the unit, and so guys will be a lot more comfortable and free, um, than they have been in the past. So I think you'll see a great
So you think
improvement.
scheme will help these guys a little bit?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely. So you said Mazy's penciled as a starter. Who else is do you project?
I
It would
mean,
have to
right
be
now,
Osa. It'd have to be Osa.
yeah,
But
Osa at the 3 tech.
I'm not gonna say Mozzie starting. Not me. I'm not saying he
Yeah,
started. I
For
know
the
Osa
for the
gonna be
nose
there.
tackle, I was saying for the nose tackle
Yeah, I
because
don't
I
even
thought
know yet.
right now, I guess we don't know because I mean, Tuck, if you're saying Mozzie's better at a 3 tech, and I remember back then you said Neville was better at 3 tech, and I think we had made him gain weight and made him play nose tackle, and that was not working out.
And it didn't work out.
horrible. It was horrible. So I have a concern with the Cowboys and how they manage their interior linemen.
Hmm.
There's been
Yeah.
some really good guys that have come through here, really good players that they've drafted, third round and up, in Malik Collins and uh,
They try to make him a
Replays.
run stuffer.
Tristan Hill,
Try to make
and
him a run stuffer.
then they let him go. Who was the last interior lineman that
I don't
signed a
know.
second contract in Dallas? It's a revolving door at the positions. They place the value on the edge guys, um, but we've let some really good interior linemen leave here. And that was a conversation I had with Neville. You know, get ready for it. Well, I've had similar conversations with Osa and Chauncey Golston because it's just the pattern. It's the trend. They're gonna let you play out your contract, and then they're gonna bring somebody else in, and it looks like that trend is continuing.
Hmm.
You
And
know.
that's just so disappointing because, I mean, we look at over these past years, like what has really been our Achilles heel, especially in the playoffs or in the big games. And it's the inability to stop the run. And everybody knows that stopping the run stops, it starts up front, like
Yeah.
you have to have good defensive tackles. And I think um, the final four teams that were in the playoffs, which was Chiefs, 49ers, Lions, and who did the Chiefs go against? Was that the Ravens?
Yeah, they went against the
Yeah.
Ravens.
Yeah, and the Ravens. All of those guys have strong defensive
Outstanding.
interiors, and
Outstanding.
then the Lions added Reader or I forgot what his name. Yeah,
DJ
I think
Reader.
is
Yeah.
that
So
the yeah, and then the Lions added him this offseason on top of having Aleem McNeil and all those other guys that have been
yeah.
developing.
And you
Yeah.
had McNeil, didn't you, Tuck?
Yeah. 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 So when this, and it's a really good point you just brought up. When you have really good run defense, it takes so much pressure off the second level and the third level of play. Your safeties and your corners, for the most part, don't want to tackle running backs. They don't. Your linebackers, they do want to tackle running backs, but they don't want to have to tackle running backs after they wrestled with an offensive guard or a center. They want to be able to do that coming downhill unevaded. And so when you see good playoff teams that make really deep runs at the line of scrimmage, there's no one climbing to the second level,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, with the Cowboys in the past, especially when Coach Marinelli was here, they just jetted up the field, and that's why we had such a very difficult time defending teams that tried to pin and pull us or trap us because we were up the field. We were falling right into what they wanted us to do. It kind of carried over a little bit. Uh, Coach Quinn did a little bit of a different scheme. He didn't want the guys getting upfield as much as they did with Coach Marinelli, and obviously like he's from the era of stop the run first.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He is from that era, and you'll see that with how he lines guys up, um, how they
You talking
play.
about the run fits? Do you think
Absolutely.
the run fits was an issue in Dan Quinn's defense?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I don't know if they had consistently the right people playing all the time in the front two levels of play in Coach Quinn's defense to defend the
Defense.
run. Yeah. So
Hmm.
his box play was inconsistent, and it had a lot to
Mm-hmm.
do with personnel. I think his scheme was solid. I just think he didn't have the people that he needed to have for it to run like he wanted it to run.
Okay, so you say you felt like, do you think that he had those people in the building, or do you think that there was other pieces that he needed?
He needed other pieces. So
Mm,
remember that defense that he took over was a jet up the field defense. Those guys were getting off the rock and they're gone
mm-hmm,
with the mindset of we're gonna defend the run on the way to pass rush. So you
mm-hmm.
have you have very little gap integrity, and you had linebackers that were having to shock and shed offensive linemen. Where that defense that Quinn ran, he needed guys to hold point. He needed nose guards that were going to demand a double team. He needed guys that were going to control the line of scrimmage. And I don't know
He
if they
didn't have
have,
that.
yeah, and I don't know if they still have it, but
No,
I think,
don't.
yeah, I
Mm.
don't.
I'm like, we don't have that. We still don't have that, especially
Yeah,
without a nose guard. I mean, and it does seem, you saying you think Mozzie better at three tech. Mozzie did say that he didn't want to go back to his college weight. He didn't feel comfortable playing that. So, Mozzie, I think you probably are right that Mozzie does want to get upfield. more than he wants to sit here and take up double teams and stop the run, which is of high concern because if we don't have that nose piece, which we have Justin Rogers, who's a 7th-round pick, an undrafted free agent, and then a journeyman in Carl Davis. I think that's his name, Carl Davis. And it's just looking it's looking like
You
we're
don't
gonna
have
have
no
to
money. You don't got no money neither. You don't have no money. You gotta sign. I
you're
didn't mean to
gonna
cut
have
you off, sir. You
no.
gotta sign CD. You gotta sign that. It's like I keep hearing, oh well, let's wait for these cuts. Okay, you still ain't got no money. And what makes me
So
think you're gonna sign one of these guys and one of these other guys gonna magically fall to you, and it's gonna change
that's
things?
not the Cowboy way. They don't move in one
Exactly.
free agency. Why? I know Will McClay, and I just I stay in my lane. I talked to Coach Ellis this offseason. I talked to
Hmm.
Greg a lot. Um, but my job is to supplement what they're doing. And
Mhm.
so it burns me up. I want to ask so bad, why did we do this and why did we do that? Um, but
Mhm.
let's look at the guys that we've allowed to leave that are flourishing with their new teams from the interior. I mean, did he just sign a new deal for?
Yeah, Malik just got a new deal. Then
Why do we
you
let
got
him go?
Young.
Because
No
they tried to
idea.
make him because they tried to make him a 0 or 1 tech B, and you know that was not his position. Even when he was in the Big Ten, he was a
Correct.
pass rushing defensive tackle. They tried to make him into something he wasn't. It did not work. You saw it in the games. You saw his natural pass rushing ability. Damn, didn't he have damn near 5 sacks his first year, rookie year in Dallas? And even at the other teams, he's averaging about 4 to 5 sacks at the defensive tackle position.
And he plays the run so well.
That's what I'm saying. I would say that he plays the run well. Like, I
But they
don't
tried to
know.
stickly make him just like they did Gallimore. Gallimore was effective when he could move around and attack the quarterback. That's when Gallimore was effective. When they started making him take on the center and the guard, the team became compromised because he didn't
Yeah.
want to play that. And there's a difference between the want to and you're made to, and that ain't your position. I
Yeah.
don't care. They're human beings. They ain't gonna keep doing that.
Yeah. It was just. I mean, it's very puzzling. It's very puzzling to me. Um,
I just
how,
don't know why is it that when these guys are coming in, why do we keep I don't understand the constant changing of positions on the defensive line. Like, how
so
long are we gonna do this? Because you trained Chauncey,
Get Tuck on the staff, please.
Chauncey, yeah. So
and we
so
don't know what
even
to
if
do
I
with
was
Chauncey.
listen,
They wouldn't
James,
listen,
if
huh?
I was on the staff, guess what I'd have to do? I'd have to do what I was told.
Yep. You
You know what
right.
I mean? I mean,
You right.
I'd be, I got to do what.
Yeah, you right. You ain't
Right.
lying.
Um, so Chauncey Golston, who is what we would like to call a Swiss Army knife. He can play the edge. He can play inside.
Hmm.
Um, can he play nose? I wouldn't put him down there. Can Osa play nose? He can, but he's more effective at the three.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they just don't have. There's not the stereotypical body that is in the building based on what I've seen that can just play that one. So now you got to rotate guys.
Hmm.
And so, you
So
know,
basically, you saying you got to get a little bit creative, a little bit.
yeah, and I think Zim's gonna do it. I think he understands how to stop the run. With bringing Greg in, you know that that's a second that's a second set of eyes and a very high football IQ that understands what he wants. And I think they're going to be able to get that from the group that they have. It's just going to be unconventional. It'll be unconventional. Um,
So it sounds like they about to Dan Quinn him and make him Make him. They like here. This is the ingredients. So you gonna have to cook with
Make
this.
no,
This
you
is what
baking.
we
You just gonna have to make do. You
That's
feel
You
what
me?
we
got to make
got.
do.
Basically,
Yeah,
that's what I'm feeling like. They just gonna say make do unless it becomes a crisis, and then they'll make
Hmm.
probably a last minute deadline trade like they did for Jonathan Hankins 2 years ago. If they just feel like okay, we got to get somebody, we got to get some formidable body there in the middle because
he
these
played, and
guys
he
is not
played.
working.
He was serviceable.
Yeah, he was serviceable.
Yeah, I
And he was
mean,
cheap.
He was serviceable.
yeah,
He was cheap, but according to Clarence Thomas, he didn't want to come back here. Which I don't. I mean, Clarence Thomas said Clarence Hill.
I knew who you meant.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
know who you meant
wanted.
too,
I
Star.
was, I was like, I was like Clarence Thomas, but Clarence Hill, like he wanted to follow Dirty, to the Seahawks. So I don't know. It's seeming like it's a little bit. We want to push the panic button, but I have to feel like some way some moves got to be made to help out that interior because right now it's looked like we just headed down the same road we've been headed down for the past few years, because we
You
don't
know
have the
what'll help
bodies
the
in the
Dallas?
room.
What'll help the Dallas defense this year more than
Hmm.
anything else is the offense. You know,
Yeah,
we got to limit their snaps. We need them to be fresh. The This year's
Hmm.
defense is going to be successful based on what that offense does. Can the offense sustain drives? Can they put together, you know, 3 minute, 4 minute drives, 12 to 15 play drives to allow those guys to regroup on the sideline? I think that's
the biggest key.
for this year's defense to be successful is for them to be a rested
Hmm.
defense.
I agree.
If they're taking 60 snaps a game, 70 snaps a game,
Uh-oh.
they're
Oh, okay.
did I lose you?
No,
No,
you
we're
good.
back. We see you. We can hear you.
They're in great shape if they're taking 60, 70 snaps in a game. Um, any more
Okay.
than that, it's gonna be it's gonna be tough sledding.
It's
It will
gonna
be.
be tough sledding. What are your thoughts? Have you gotten a chance to look at our second round draft pick in Marshawn Nealon?
Yeah, I looked at him. I looked at him in the process, in the pre-draft process. I mean, good football player. I do. I think he's a really good football player. We'll see. We'll see if
Do
the
you
if
think he helps to run this year?
I don't know.
No, no. Okay.
I don't know. As honest as I can be, I don't know. It's
Mhm.
very difficult for us to kind of know what those conversations in those meeting rooms are looking like and sounding like. Um, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Okay.
It's hard to say. Great
Okay.
question. Great.
Do
Great.
you
That's
think he
fair.
do you think he has the ability though to come in and be able to play? Regardless of the conversations, do you think he has the ability to come in and make a significant contribution in his rookie year? Just by based on the tape you've seen?
I think so. If you use him right, if you use him right, yeah, I think so. I
Okay.
think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think.
Because
And you train. Okay, go ahead,
go ahead.
Big. Sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Star. I'm cool.
I was just gonna ask. I was kind of pivoting. Were you still talking about this? Because I was gonna pivot to Sam, but
Go ahead and pivot to Sam because he's a
okay.
good topic
Was
anyway.
Sam? Yeah, was Sam the Slam? Okay, we call him Sam Slam Williams. He
I love him.
obviously you love him. Yeah, tell us about Sam. I think you
He
trained
trained
him.
Train. He trained Sam.
Yeah, like you
I,
trained him.
I love him. He's been chomping at the bit to play. He just wants to play.
Is that why he be tripping on the field?
Hey man.
Those
Um.
Just
penalties.
tell us. Tell me, Tuck. Is that why he be tripping on the field? Because he be mad because
So
he want to play more?
well,
Talk
everybody
to me.
wants to play,
Yeah.
and you can't be upset with the guy that is at the highest level and is
Hmm.
upset with the amount of playing time that he's receiving. And so when you know you're good, and Sam is really good, when you know you're good, and when you're getting limited PT, when you're out there, the pressure that you're putting on yourself to make plays so you can continue to get PT is what you see when you see Sam kind of doing some things going when you say, oh, what is he doing? Right? You wouldn't see that from him if he was taking 25 plays a game, 30 plays a game. But when you're taking 10 to 15, he's got a tremendous amount. I mean, as a second round guy who really had a first round grade on him, um, he wants to show people that he can play. I mean, he does. And so, I mean, I love him. I think if his role was to be a little bit different and they gave him more playing time, what is this, year 3?
Yeah, this is year 3.
Yep.
Man,
Year
This
time
is
is
three.
flying.
this is the year. This is the year. In my opinion, he got to be starting on that edge.
Who do
Yeah,
you
he needs
take
to be
off?
starting this.
Who do you take off
I
to
mean,
start?
you got D-Law on the left side. Were they gonna put Mike on the right at the starting right end?
I mean, I don't know. I
And
don't.
that's where the question is with me. What are
That's
they
the
doing with Micah?
question.
What are they
Right. And
doing with Micah?
I think Micah may go back to. I mean, we see him. They showed a video. He doing some off the ball stuff. Let's ask Tuck. Tuck, do you think that Micah should be just a defensive end or edge player, or do you think that he should look more like he did his rookie year, which was, I think the snap split was about 50-50, where he was like 50% on the line, 50% off ball, and still rushing from the interior. That's actually where he's best at, is rushing from the interior. He gets a lot of his sacks that way. So, what are your thoughts on Micah? And what do you think Micah needs to do? I mean, he's a 3-time All-Pro, so saying the next step seems kind of crazy, but he still has room to grow. Micah hasn't reached his peak. So, like, what are your thoughts on Micah, and you think that he would need to do to take the next step?
So that's a very easy question for me, because he possesses such a unique physical skill set. In order for him to take it to the next level, is to establish who he is as a player. For him to find who he is and to play within that. Um,
Hmm.
I personally think that he is a generational player like Lawrence Taylor was. I would just have him go straight ahead. He's a pass rusher for me. He
Okay.
is. But because he has such a unique elite skill set physically, you almost want to use him in other places. So we look at what he did as a rookie. And he was able to do that because he was a rookie. And he was coming off a year where he didn't play. Remember, he didn't play his last year at Penn State.
Right.
So you had a hungry, rested dude that just went nuts, and the league didn't have any film on him. Okay. And then you saw him be used kind of non-traditionally in how he played his second year. And I mean, he was still productive, but just imagine if he was a full-time pass rusher, what he would have been able to do. So that's what I mean when I say find his identity. Man, if you line this dude up at a 5, maybe a 7, and you let him pin his ears back and go the majority of the time, he is he is something special. Um, but if you can use him and drop him in coverage and let him kind of be a robber underneath in certain situations and maybe cover up a tight end or in a little trail technique down the field, he can do that too. But I think his absolute strength is coming off the edge with the tremendous speed that he has. Technically, I mean, I feel like he's really raw in his pass rush. He's just so darn fast. It's hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Very, very hard
Yeah,
to get.
yeah.
Well, you
Uh,
think even with his oh, go ahead, Biggs. Go ahead, Big.
all I was just gonna say is just agreeing with you with the Micah Parsons thing. He's just so damn good. You want to rush him. Like I
Yep.
would love to see him rush all game. But he's
Yep.
so damn good, you can't do that. You have to move him around because that skill set everybody don't have in the NFL. So it's almost like you got a cheat code player, and if you're playing Madden for real, you're not gonna rush him every play. You're gonna move him around. If you're playing Madden, right, and you got Michael Parsons, are you gonna rush him off the edge every play? No, you're not. You're gonna back him up. You're gonna move him around. You're gonna try to disguise him because you're
Yep.
gonna know that offense is gonna know where he's at. And if that offense is
Mm.
concentrating on him, he's opening it up for other players. And that's why I'm like, we got to, Dallas has to figure a way to have Micah Parsons, Sam Williams, and Demarcus Lawrence
All
all
on
on the
that field.
field consistently all
Yeah.
year. They
Yeah.
have to figure that out,
Ooh, they
period.
gave me chills. That gave me chills thinking about that. If they, we could
Well,
really get that going some
They
way,
have to
somehow.
figure that out. Those three have to be on the field all the time. They have to figure it out.
I, I agree, man, and I think people overlook how valuable Tank is in the run game. I mean, he's you know I watch very few football games live, and I've seen him. I've seen I've seen Demarcus Lawrence, man, play
He's an
the.
animal.
Hey, man, he plays the run game like you want the run game to be played, and he does it consistently with pride, man. And I don't think he gets enough credit with that. Um, and he's been a stalwart. I mean, what year is this for him?
11.
Come on, man. At an elite level for 11 years, this is coach number what for him? Two. This is head coach number two.
Yeah,
How,
head coach number 2 and
how
3.
many
His third
coordinators?
defensive coordinator,
Man,
Hmm.
third or fourth, if you count Chris Rashad, I guess. So third or
you,
fourth.
you got to count him, and he's back in the game. He's back in.
Hmm.
Um, you just for him to be as consistent as he has, and I love his game. I do, man. And you've got guys that can contribute. You just have to do what you guys just said. Have all three of those guys on the field in some way, shape, or form. Because Sam was a second round pick, right?
Hmm.
And
Yep.
he has not he has not been able. Dallas has not been able to get the value from that pick because they haven't found a way to get him on the field. He has not done
Hmm.
anything to keep himself off the field. They just haven't found a way to get him on the field.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
he's a
Yep.
a heck of a talent, man. And you know, when his contract is up, if he's gonna go somewhere else, and you
And
guys
he's
are gonna
gonna
say,
go crazy.
yeah, it's like
He's gonna
why did
go
we?
crazy.
Yeah,
Watch.
why
He
didn't we
is.
get that here? Because he
Who
didn't
do
get the
we put
opportunity.
that on for Sam not getting up? Do we put that on Quinn? Because I'm like, I don't know because
I can't
this,
say that. I can't say that,
I
Star,
don't
not to cut you
know.
off, because Dallas has a problem with the interior period. Drafting, keeping, they have a problem. Like on the offensive side of the ball, the offensive side of the line, they are gems. They know how to draft offensive linemen. But in my opinion, they don't know how to really get that interior together. And when they have interior players, it's like they don't know where to put them, keep them, move them. And it's always a big mess. And it always explodes at the end of the season because, like you said, B, they playing too many snaps. They're wearing down, and you're putting too much stock in a guy who's undrafted or who
Yep.
is a seventh round player. That starts getting exposed week 11, 12, 13. Playoffs come. They are tired. I don't think D Law lying when he said that. They're tired for real.
Yeah, he shouldn't have said it,
He shouldn't
but
have said it,
he was
but he
telling the
wasn't
truth.
lying.
He was telling the truth.
He
So,
shouldn't have said it, but he wasn't lying.
I got a question. How is
Mhm.
it that the division rival is able to stockpile interior
I don't
defensive
know.
line?
We had John.
Because
We
they
had
value it.
Ridgeway. They value it. We had Ridgeway.
Hey man,
You
Ridgeway and
had
the
Bohanna.
Ridgeway,
Vanilla Gorilla, my
the
dog out of
Vanilla
Arkansas.
Gorilla. You had him.
Yeah, my dude. Yeah, man.
We
And
had Vanilla Gorilla, we had Big Bo, who both would have been coming into their own by now because it'd be their third, fourth year. And we got rid of them. We cut them. It's
why?
like maybe we don't know, and it's like Cowboys may be in La La Land because it's like who is really going to be just cutting defensive tackles like that?
It's just
Young ones,
that's
good
that's
ones.
just that's just the cowboy way. I'd love to be in a personnel meeting
To figure that out.
just to say, okay, well that's the philosophy. Like it, I don't necessarily have to agree with it. I just would like to know what it is, as it relates to interior alignment. You know, I know you guys everyone's saying, why don't we bring in free agents? Um, but we've kind of gotten used to that as well. So
Yep.
this year for success, in my humble opinion, it's gonna be the offense with ball control, scoring in the red zone, consistently putting up 35 points a game. If you if you do
with
that,
with neither one of your quarterback or receiver signed right now.
It's like good, and then it's like that means basically because what you're saying, Tuck, is what we were trying to do the first 5 weeks of the season. We were leading the league in what was that 9-10 play drives, but basically we were that, and that was Mike McCarthy's goal to like have these long drives, methodical, up and down the field,
efficiency.
rest our defense. But the issue was we didn't have a run game, so that was not working out. And then when we kept getting into because we cut Zeke's, we said his touchdowns didn't matter, but we kept getting in the red zone, we could not score. And so that kind of, and then that's when after we got our asses kicked by San Fran, that's when Michael's like, well, we just gonna have to throw this ball all over the field. And that's when everything opened up. So it sounded like to me, we better make sure we have a run scheme this year. We better make sure we can actually run the ball seriously, because if we don't, it's going to leave our team in disarray, because we don't really have that defense like we had I guess in years past, especially without having a true nose guard. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know. I mean, I think Zim, like you said, scheme is going to help. And I do think Zim is going to help us out a lot with that. But
yeah.
still,
Scheme
you
can only
know,
take you so far, though. Scheme can only
right.
take you so far in this.
So
And the
who?
problem is what is are the running. I'm sorry, I'm not inspired by this running game right now. And I feel like you don't have the explosion. So what if the offensive line is still young? And I like the offensive line, I do, but it's still young. So what
Yeah,
if it's not really getting off like you want?
yeah,
Now your running game is struggling. Now Dak got to throw the ball all the time. Now we get no quick 3 and outs. Defense right back on the field.
yeah,
Team scores just like that in 3 plays. Now
yeah.
the pressure's on our offense, and Dak got to do something. It just sounds like a recipe for disaster, and we've seen this story before.
But
Yeah.
it's like we're not paying attention. What? Who won the Super Bowl this past year?
The Chiefs.
Okay. What's their? They run 11 personnel, right?
hmm
Mm-hmm.
Who they play in the Super Bowl?
The 49ers.
49ers.
They run 11 personnel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who did the Chiefs play in the AFC Championship game?
The Ravens.
Ravens.
11 personnel.
Yeah.
Who did the 49ers play in the NFC Championship?
The
Detroit.
Lions.
Who shocked the world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, literally, they shocked the world. Um, they do run 11 personnel, but those other three teams, they have star tight ends. They have a two-headed monster in Debo Samuels with the 49ers and Christian McCaffrey with the 49ers. Okay. The Baltimore Ravens had that in Zay Flowers. And when you start talking about Lamar, That's a dual threat nightmare, right?
And you got Derrick
Mhm.
Henry,
And
who's
now they
still
got Derrick
formidable.
Henry this year.
And Dallas could have got him.
I mean, it's not rocket science. This thing is very, very simple. Put pressure on defenses, be efficient, and the Cowboys don't do that consistently. Who's a tight end for 11 personnel in
Here?
Dallas? Yeah.
Oh, Jake Ferguson.
Who?
Jake Ferguson, but who's else?
Jake
Who else?
Ferguson.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Schoonmaker.
I mean, you're not putting pressure. You're not putting pressure on defenses with Jake Ferguson. Who's the running back?
I mean, right now the running back. This is running back by committee. So right now it's like Zeke is starting with the
It's
first
Zeke.
team,
It's
but
Zeke unless something is Zeke and Dowdell. He's cool. I like Dowdell, but I mean, we
I
still
don't.
the jury's still out. The jury is still out on him, whether injury. I mean, he's not explosive, but he's not slow. But he's not putting no fear in any of these defenses. And I don't think Ezekiel Elliott is either. We know what he's going to do short yardage. We know he's going to be healthy, and I feel like he's going to run. But it's not going to terrify the defenses anymore. And in my opinion, they're going to attack that line of scrimmage so you can't run, so you're going to have Dak throw the ball all the time. So maybe
Yeah,
turnovers can happen for you. Or, like I said, those quick 3-and-outs. That's the biggest thing. If you're not doing those long drives and you're getting those quick 3-and-outs, that's where you're really going to see that defense crumble.
but
And
it's
it doesn't
also
matter. And it doesn't matter how much Zimmer schemes it or moves guys around, it's going to get exposed.
And that's
well,
why the
yeah.
offense has to carry the offense has to carry the defense. 11 personnel is what puts pressure on defense. Now that's why you see nickel packages or that nickel corner coming in to help with the tight end. Well, they don't need to do that when they play Dallas. They play Dallas straight up, mixed up.
Well, I think Jake Ferguson is more of a threat than you say. It's like I gotta say it, but I understand what you're saying. Is Jake Ferguson? Are people saying that right now that he's the same as Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce? Obviously not. Nah.
Yeah,
So like though, and George Kittle,
But he's
those are the
trending up,
three.
though. I
But
like
he
Jake.
is trending
Jake
up.
is trending up.
Trending up.
We got Jake is a I think is a guy
Is a
that
guy.
if you look at you had Dalton Schultz and a Blake Jarwin, he's definitely an upgrade. He's definitely an
Yeah.
upgrade. He's
Yeah.
definitely an upgrade. And he's young. I like Jake. And I think he
Yeah.
does have the potential. He showed it and he showed that he can be a weapon. Now I think the problem is the other tight end. Schoonmaker, he hurt. You don't know what he doing. Hendershot is not
Out.
reliable. And we love what Steven showed, but he was
We just
still
don't know.
he
You
was
got John
undrafted.
Stevens. Right. You got John Stevens and you got Brevin Span. So
And he was undrafted.
he was undrafted.
I'm just
So
saying, Hendershot was undrafted.
yeah,
man.
that's true. All of those guys were undrafted. That's true. That's true. I
So
mean, you can't lie on that.
I know you guys wanted me to talk about defensive line, but I mean, as we starting to get into other positions, there's so many things that need to be addressed and areas of need in comparison to the teams that are winning uh, at in November and December. I mean, that's
Yeah.
you want
It's
me
a
to
it's a
say.
lot definitely a lot of unknowns going into this season because you're hoping Jay Ferguson was a Pro Bowler last year, but you're hoping that he takes another step to really be one of those ones, like you said, to actually threaten and who can really threaten that middle of the field. And Jake Ferguson, they were building on that, but production wise, I think Jake did all right, but you definitely got to see more from him if you're gonna say he's one of those ones like a Travis Kelce, like a Mark Andrews, like a George Kittle. Like you gotta see more. And he said it himself, he's gotta become a better blocker because all three of those guys also can block very well,
Yep.
which helps them do that 11 personnel because with Kelce and them, like you don't know. Am I blocking? Sometimes I do the delay and then I shoot out and now it's a touchdown. So it's all of those things that it's just a lot of unknowns about are these guys gonna step up, but specifically with the defensive line, it's just we don't know. You know,
It's it's
it's
gonna
just
be
a
interesting.
big question. It's gonna be interesting. Exactly, it's gonna
Yeah,
be very interesting to
it's
see
gonna be.
how Zim configures this and gets this scheme going, and what our run game is going to look like. Because again, we tried to do it. Let's do these long drives and stuff, but we couldn't do it because the run game was just not taken seriously. No one thought it was a threat. No one at all. And so, and there's also the issue, big that we talk about 3 and outs, but actually last year in the big games we were having 3 and outs, but like in the rest of the games, we just
Mm-hmm.
scoring just continuously, just over and over again. And then defense getting turnovers and all that type of stuff. So I feel like they're trying to mold the identity because we actually ran a lot of 13 personnel, a lot of 12 personnel. I feel like that's where they want to go, but it's like, do you have that number two tight end that can actually be a threat? Because right now, Schoonmaker is like, we don't know. It's three unknowns in that tight end two spot.
Yeah. So when they were running 12 personnel last year, they were trying to do that to get some one-on-one matchups with CD on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
You've gotta respect 12 personnel when you're running the ball, and then if you release those two tight ends, it's hard to bracket or double or cheat a guy over on your number one receiver. So I think that's why we got a lot of 12 personnel last year. It would help if, like you said, that number two receiver, that number
Two
two
was a
tight
threat.
was a thank you. If he's a threat now, you make it that much harder. It's like a pick your poison type of deal. When you
Mm-hmm.
put two tight end, when you have 12 personnel, man, you're talking about you got 9 guys in the box.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's you know, you got to respect. You have to respect it if that second tight end is a viable threat. If he's just out there to be out there,
Just out there to block. I mean, it's not gonna be effective. He's
it's
got
just
to be a pass catching threat. He has
that
to
that's
be.
that's like waving a gun at somebody we know it's not loaded.
Yeah, exactly. It's School Baker. For last year, wasn't nobody threatened by him. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So, woo.
good
Well,
times.
Yeah.
Tuck, you gave us a lot to think.
Well,
He gave us a lot to think about.
man, I've
Yeah.
gotten I've gotten badgered over the last. I'm a closet Cowboy fan, so I've gotten
Yeah.
badgered over the last 90 days about what this season is going to look like. And I said, man, this season is a wait and see season if you've never had one.
Right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
For real.
Yeah,
For
how's this
sure.
thing gonna look? Like the
Nobody
expectations.
knows.
Yeah, the expectations. You have to put a governor on them. Like we don't know. You have no idea, and that's before injuries. Like we have no idea what
Right.
this thing's gonna look like.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
this
I
is
think
it.
this is one of the biggest seasons since I've been doing this content creating. That it's the biggest unknown for me right now, for real. Like I'm looking at the seasons. I kind of understood what the seasons were before. But when you come into this and your quarterback is not signed, your receiver is not signed, even though you think it's going to happen, it's still unknown. You don't know
Mm-hmm.
what's at the defensive tackle position. You don't know if they're going to go out and get something. You don't know if they're going to upgrade and get a something on the running back. You don't know what you're looking at as really at your receiver. Okay, Cooks is there, but 3 and 4, it's unknown. Your
Yep.
tight end number 2, unknown. You get what I'm saying? You're waiting for Trevin Diggs. You're hoping he comes back from that. You get what I'm saying? So this season, to me, a lot of unknowns. You got your coach who is in that unknown, put make it happen season, and I just feel like the Joneses, and this is my frustrating part, and I'm gonna end it on this note with me. My frustrating part is I just feel like it's, well, we got to pay these guys, so y'all got to make this do, and that's to me is a recipe for disaster when you're not putting those helping your team out. It's going to get exposed in those big games against those top teams. it will get exposed because that's why these guys, the Andy Reeds and the what's the coach over there on the defensive side of the Chiefs? What's his name?
Spagnola.
Yeah.
Spagnola. Those guys, they sit there. Oh, they chopping at the bit. Oh, you ain't upgrade that? We gonna expose that every play. We gonna come after you, and you get what I'm saying. They see it with the team,
Wow.
so it just I ain't trying to be doom and gloom, but I got to keep it reality. I felt good in 21, 22, and 23 because I felt the team. I could see the direction of it. I was like, this is the record I feel like we're gonna have. This is the first year, in my opinion, that I'm like, I don't know what kind of record this gonna be this year.
Yeah, it's a tough call this year for sure.
Yeah, it's a tough call with all these unknowns, but I'm like the only silver lining that we have is that the Cowboys are such a conundrum and so perplexing that they can do the inevitable on a year that everybody's saying like you're gonna be 8 and 9 at best. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there's a lot of people who really think like at best y'all are gonna win 8 games this year.
Well, we
At
play better
best.
that way, actually.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying. That's
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying. We
yeah,
play better when our backs are against the
And
wall.
nobody
No
talks
one
about them.
but nobody believes us. Everybody thinks all these unknowns. Y'all be lucky to finish third in the division.
yep,
And then the Cowboys go further than that. It's just a Cowboys thing. Like the year that you're
It's
like,
the
is this
Cowboys
our
way.
year? Like last year, oh, we ready? We going, and then first round exit got blown out at home.
It's the Cowboys way.
It's the Cowboys way. But wow, this was a great interview. I love this.
Hey,
I think
hey, Tuck, I appreciate you,
hey man,
dog.
for sure, for sure, for
Hey,
sure.
make sure before we get ready to close, let them know because, like I said, man, I just want to give you a shout out again, especially when you're working with the high school athletes. I got a passion for the high school athletes. I've interviewed a lot of high school athletes on my platform. I got some guys that I've interviewed that are going to some big time colleges that I'm really excited. Some defensive linemen. I talked to a couple of them. I'm like, yo, you need to get on the line with my boy Tuck, bro, because my
Yeah,
dog Tuck, you might be a dog, but let my dog Tuck get you.
yeah,
He gonna probably get you in the league, man. So you know what I'm saying. So just to see where you really work with those young kids, man, and each level, high school, college, pros, and the dedication you put in, and like you said, it's a lot of other people out there doing it, but that don't mean there's a lot of people out there doing it good and doing it the right way. And you
yep,
really do it the right way,
yep.
Tuck, in my opinion. And I love,
Appreciate that.
what you're doing. Please keep on doing it. And like you said,
I appreciate
you
that.
got mad first rounders. I remember we was talking to Montez Sweat when you had Montez Sweat, and look what that mug is doing over there. Animal. You
Yeah,
be putting them out, dog. Salutes to you.
I appreciate that, man. I do. The high school level is my roots. Um, we want to develop recruitable prospects. That's it. My scholarship changed my life, and so we play a child's game, and if you can do that, and find your way to the collegiate level, your life is gonna be changed positively as well, especially when you govern yourself accordingly at the collegiate level. Um, and then if lightning strikes, you have a chance to go play it at the highest level. So be it. But yeah, the high school levels where I'll always be. And now I'm fighting. It's a struggle. Social media and the content that's being put out by the professional guys um, is really, really having an adverse effect on our high school guys. Man, what they're seeing being done for content purposes that don't translate, it doesn't translate to the field of play. And it's hurting high school coaches who have limited time with them. They got to learn how to play base reaching down. They got to understand uh, gap integrity, how to pass rush as a unit. They got to understand what to do when the back is away and the ball's on the opposite hash. How to play their gap, whether it's inside out or outside in. Those things are being lost in the translation. What's been put out on social media, and so man, it's a constant battle. It's a constant battle, and we're going to continue to fight it um, because we love this game,
Hmm.
and without solid, technically sound, fundamentally sound interior line play, exterior line play, it's just 7-on-7, and we don't want to see that. So we're gonna continue to work hard to develop guys, man. And I appreciate you having me on. It's always a pleasure. Star, it was really good. It was really good visiting with you. Um, let's do it again as soon as we can.
For sure, for sure. And you said you train offensive linemen like in your program too, right?
The program does. I stay in my lane.
Yeah,
I'm
he.
business side. Yes,
He's
I've got
defensive side. Okay.
I've got
Because my
multiple offensive line coaches from Andre Gerard. Shout out to Dre. He's in Duval right now with the Jags. Pat Lewis, who played at A&M and played with the Seattle Seahawks and the Denver. I'm not sorry, the Detroit Lions, and then Chris Chester, who got the majority of his career in Atlanta. Those guys covered the offensive line for us, and we're one of
okay.
the few programs that will have O line and D line out together. Iron sharpens
Yeah.
iron. You got to train with each other in a safe, uh, comfortable environment where we're not going to post things on social media. So it's worked
Okay.
for us. Super excited. Um, continue. We hope to continue to do what we've been doing um, since 2008. So
Okay. I'm gonna get your information from Big because I'm trying to get my nephew into training. He plays for SGP, and I'm like, you gotta start training because I'm like, if you want to play at the next level, these high school coaches is not gonna do it for you. So
they
I'm
just don't have
like,
the time.
yeah, they just don't have the time. I'm like, you gotta have that extra training. So I definitely like, I was like, been looking, and that Pat Lewis guy, I had looked him up, and that was one of the guys I was gonna contact, because he's in between. Do I want to play offensive line, defensive line? Coach saying maybe we switch him to tackle.
What class is he in?
He'll be a sophomore this year.
Yeah, so he's a 2027.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the the recruiting cycle has sped up. Used to be you wanted guys to, we would say their most important year was their junior year. Well, now it's their sophomore year with the
Mm-hmm.
transfer portal. They've got to be contributing on varsity as a
Mhm.
sophomore if you want to be a top 300 guy. And when we talk about top 300, those are the guys that are going to be the sought after guys. And so that process is sped up. So we really don't have time to be dillying around. Like we've got to make sure we're taking care of our grades in the classroom. You need to maintain a 3.0. And then you have to put viable film out that shows college coaches that you possess the fundamentals to
Mm-hmm.
come in and be a plug and play guy. The patience with development isn't there at the collegiate level now because of the transfer portal. They can
Mhm.
go out and get a guy from, you know, another
Mm-hmm.
school that wasn't getting playing time that he felt like he should have gotten, but it's enough for them to say he can come in here and play for us. And so that's what we're competing against. And you've got to show over 36 months that you can put a body of work together, say, I can come play for you. I can come play for you sooner than later. So,
Okay.
this let's get him going.
Yep.
You said he's at South Grand Prairie?
Yeah, he's at SGP right now.
Yep. How tall?
6 foot.
How heavy?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know.
Listen. So here's the thing with my program. We've never had a
Mhm.
senior not have an opportunity to go off and play college football, regardless
Okay.
of the level, regardless of how tall, how heavy. We're going to develop a recruitable prospect as long as his GPA is a 3.0.
Okay.
As long as he's got a 3.0 and he can play dead, we can get him somewhere.
Okay. Well, yeah,
I look
I'm getting them.
forward
I'm
to it.
getting them hooked up with you for sure.
I look forward to it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Tuck.
Oh,
Well, hey, I appreciate both of y'all. I'm glad we were able to jump back on here after our little hiatus.
yeah,
We'll be
man.
back
Mm-hmm.
rolling on the main because obviously football's back. Football's here. We're all excited. We wait forever for it to finally come, and now it is finally here. It's time to
Mm-hmm.
stop talking about all that off-season stuff. Now the stuff is
Yo,
really here. So really appreciate both of y'all. We're gonna rock it, run it back next week. Starting, we're gonna have more training camp, more probably interesting
Yep.
stories. We're gonna talk about that Dak Prescott thing because we are. We ain't talking about today. We're gonna talk about that next week.
Let's
We're
go.
gonna get that in. But appreciate you, Tuck. We're
Thank you,
definitely gonna
brother.
bring you back on here.
Thank you,
Probably maybe
Star.
once the season run,
Thank
and
you, Tuck. Thank you so
just do our
much.
thing. So
Yep.
I appreciate all y'all. I'm heading off right here, right now. So we'll be seeing you. Big
All
Star
right.
Show. B Tuck. Keep doing your thing. Trench warfare. We out. Love y'all.